Welcome everyone to another video. This one is a special one. We have Dreamcore here from a brand new, 4-month-old PoE channel that has been blowing up recently because of his excellent analysis of this beautiful little dark game we call Path of Exile. Welcome to Talkative Try, Dreamcore.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. It's good to be here. Glad to be here.
If you haven't seen it already, go check out his channel. It's absolutely phenomenal. He goes deep into the mechanics that I cannot even fathom understanding. But today, we're not going to delve deep into mechanics. We are going to get hyped because we are 7 days out from ExileCon 2 or ExileCon 2023, whatever you like to call it. We have a batch of Path of Exile 2 predictions that we're going to talk about. Stuff that we think will appear in Path of Exile 2 and will be announced at ExileCon 2. They might be completely wrong, but we're going to have a ton of fun here today, and I'm going to throw it over to Dreamcore for the first prediction.
All right, okay, so Path of Exile 2 announcements. They're going to want to be pretty big, I think, and I'm going to start off with more new weapon types. I think they're going to announce these on the stage at ExileCon, and I think we kind of get the impression that there's going to be at least a third new weapon type. We already know of the spear and the crossbow, but the icon on the new logo, I think it suggests another new weapon, but I think there's going to be more than just one. The icon probably represents like a caster thing, maybe a orb of some kind, or an offhand focus or something like that. Maybe it's... I've heard people talking about like some kind of staff weapon, but we do already have staffs, but the thing is, the current staffs are kind of more martial weapons rather than, caster things, so maybe they could do some kind of two-handed wand or something like that. I'm not really sure, but I think we're definitely going to get more new weapon types. As for the others, I'm not really sure. I'd love to see things like flails in the game, but I don't know how they'll be able to make them distinct from maces, for example. But yeah, more new weapon types. That's definitely happening. At least one, probably more.
I'm a fan of that, and I will be bold adding on to your prediction. Maybe gunpowder weapons? What do you say about that in our Path of Exile game?
I mean, I wouldn't mind guns, but I think it's got to be the right gun, right? Things like a flintlock pistol, for example, that's like,
hell yeah,
or like a hand cannon or something like that would be.
I think
would
that'd
be
a
pretty
cool
good.
Archetype.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I could see that. I could see them adding like hand cannons to the game. Yeah,
I think an orb is likely as well, an offhand focus, something similar like that, a way for spellcasters to define themselves as opposed to always wielding a shield, wand and shield. How about a wand and an orb or a focus of some sort? I think that'd be awesome as well as an offensive option. How melee characters can dual wield swords, axes, whatever. I know you can dual wield wands, but I think an orb type mechanic would be way cooler.
Yeah, I could
more aesthetically
definitely see that for like, I mean, casters. I just think that we've got offhand shields for casters, right? There's caster mods on shields, but I think there could be something that's a little bit more offensive for casters, so. Yeah, I think some kind of offhand focus, or like an orb. Maybe you can even dual wield orbs. Maybe it's not specific to the offhand.
Ooh, dual wielding orbs. I'm a fan of it.
Yeah.
All right, I'll move into my first prediction for Path of Exile 2, and that is sweeping changes to the passive skill tree. Now, I have a slew of items that I think they're going to do to improve the passive skill tree and make it more complicated at the same time. Number one, a passive tree skill planner. It's going to happen, okay? It'll be huge for a game like Path of Exile. I know it will take away a little bit of the magic of, traveling and allocating nodes as you go, but the sheer amount of people who use planning tools like PoB and the passive skill tree planner on the website is massive. I think they'll add something like that into the game to keep people in Path of Exile longer. It's a huge quality of life feature and something I would personally use, and I'm not someone who uses Path of Building right now. I know that might be a shock to you, Dreamcore. Do you use Path of Building?
I do. I probably spend more time using Path of Building than I do playing the game.
Oh my gosh. I'm not in that sphere at all. I don't even analyze Path of Buildings. Like, I'll watch a build video, but what I do is I go to PoE Ninja and I look at the skill trees on there. I didn't know for the longest time you could actually click on the character and see the actual filled out tree on the PoE website. So I used to look at the skeleton of the tree on PoE Ninja and be like, all right, what node is that? They're pathing through here. That must mean this is that keystone. I was embarrassed when I finally figured out I could just click, oh, see on the PoE website, the actual tree. It was quite a while.
Yeah, I think that would be a great addition to the game, actually, especially for new players. And I think if they make sure that they integrate it with something like Path of Building, because they don't want to take that tool away from the players, right? They want to support it, you know, because being realistic, I don't think GGG are going to make a tool as powerful as Path of Building. It's just so
calculating
crazy
all that.
in depth, you know. So I think as long as they make it so that you can actually use that system with Path of Building and other stuff, like there's like a PoE planner website as well.
Yep.
Then that's fine. Like, that would be a great addition to the game. And as we were talking about earlier, the ascendancies being shown and things like that, I think all of that stuff is really nice if you're a new player to the game to kind of, you know, get you to understand exactly what's going on when you first start and play your first character.
Yeah, 100%. I think that'd be a huge boon to a ton of new people. And Dreamcore just mentioned we were talking about ascendancies. Videos on his channel. We did 3.22 predictions for ExileCon. It was quite a fun time. 2 more things on the passive tree that I think will be added. I think we're going to get a large increase in the number of nodes with this planner. I'm going to go with 30% increase in the number of nodes. It's going to be a bigger tree than it is now. And we're going to get lots of new keystones that, like ascendancies, affect skills. Now, we've been seeing this more and more recently with the masteries on the tree.
Yeah,
they actually affect skills themselves. I think that's a glimpse into PoE 2. And I do think the masteries were planned for PoE 2, but because it's been pushed for so long, they added them into the game early. That is my alarm going off. I'm supposed to start getting ready for work right now. It's okay. You know, I'm going to stop that alarm. We're good now. So yes, I think that there will be lots of new keystones and they're going to affect skills and be very powerful with very strong downsides as well, as is common with keystones.
Oh, I love keystones. So yeah.
Oh, you do?
More keystones would be would be really nice. And talking about the bigger passive tree, I mean, what do you think about a 3D passive tree?
All right, describe that to me because that makes my brain explode.
Yeah, like almost like a Christmas tree style passive tree, you know. So you start on different sides of the tree and then you can kind of build round. I mean, I have seen some comments on this of people saying how maybe you could have access to different parts of the tree that goes... So you could potentially have shorter access. For example, if you're on the Marauder side of the tree, you might be able to get over to the Shadow side of the tree easier because you could go one direction, you know, different...
Ooh, like an Atlas gateway on the tree?
A little bit like that, yeah.
Ooh, okay. I'm a fan. That anything that adds to the depth of the game, as long as they add, like, you know, actual... Like I said, quality of life that'll help explain it. I'm all for. Like, I think that would be extremely powerful and compelling to a lot of players.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think they're afraid of adding complexity to the game, right?
Nope,
it's one of
not
those
at all.
things that they've never shied away from, and I don't think they're taking the game in a direction where they want to really simplify it, but instead they kind of want to add quality of life things that will make it easier for new players. So
yeah, quite the contrary. I think Path of Exile 2 will introduce some more complex systems to the game, and afterward, once they focus, at least until, you know, Path of Exile 3 development, once they focus on expansions actually as an entire team, I think we'll probably get some quite complex and deep expansions too, like we did, you know, in the distant past before they really started grinding on PoE 2.
Yeah, I could see that. All right, so
next prediction.
Yeah, so my second prediction is the Path of Exile 2 beta in October, launch in December.
Oh my.
Yeah, so this one might be a little bit copium. All right, I'm just gonna be honest. Okay, we know that the ExileCon is going to be the sort of beginning of the marketing. Bex even said that it's like the beginning of the marketing for Path of Exile 2. How long they want to market the game, I'm not sure. I'm not sure how long Diablo 4 marketed from the moment they actually had like a finished or like a close to finished product. I think it was like a year, maybe like 10 months, something like that.
Yeah.
Obviously, they announced it like 5 years ago, whenever it was, but they actually really ramped up the marketing. But I'm not sure. I think that the beta starting in October makes sense towards the end of October. So there's going to be a solid 2 months, a little bit more than 2 months of the new league of 3.22. We think it's going to launch on the 18th of August, I think. So there's going to be enough time for people to enjoy it. I think typically most people start falling off of playing a league within like a month, maybe sort of 6 weeks if it's a really good league, 2 months. So we're gonna be getting the beta at a perfect moment where, you know, most people would probably be having their attention on other games because they're kind of waiting for the next league to start. So the beta will begin then, and then they'll be able to get like feedback for it and stuff. And I think that Path of Exile 2's development is probably a lot further along than anybody even thinks, because they've had a long time. I think it's pretty much going to be a completed product when they show it off at ExileCon. And, you know, I think the beta is going to be all 7 acts, by the way. It's not going to be like a...
Ooh,
it's just going to be all 7 acts. They want the whole thing tested so that the product gets shipped and it's ready to go. Like, that's it. So then the launch is going to be in December. I'm not sure if they're going to announce it at ExileCon.
Okay.
I mean, they'll have balls of steel if they announce it at ExileCon, because they're basically saying to all the players, we're confident that the product is good enough that even if you beta test it, there's not going to be any big problems. Like, there's going to be no holes. The product's good enough. It's shipping in December, you know, in the form that it's in. So that's what I think. I think we're going to get a launch in December. It makes the most sense financially as well. It's their biggest slot in terms of, you know, selling supporter packs, selling other cosmetics. People are in the festive spirit. They want to spend money. And yeah, that's what I can say. I think Path of Exile 2's launch is going to be in December.
All right, Dreamcore, thank you for passing the hopium. 1 second. Okay, so I think you're right. I think this is perfect. And I think it's a great idea on their end, because Path of Exile 2, it's not a brand new game. It doesn't need a bunch of stress tests for the servers, for the engines, for the systems. It's a new campaign, new ascendancies, new skills, right? It's all adding a ton of content to PoE as it stands today, and revamping a few core systems that can be thoroughly tested by them, and has been thoroughly tested, I'm sure, for the past few years, right? We saw the skill gem system back in 2019. This is a huge moment, right? Obviously, we all know that the ARPG space, with the addition of Diablo 4, which some would argue isn't a true ARPG, has been booming with players, honestly. There are a ton of new people, and they enjoyed Diablo 4 for a bit. They realized, wow, I actually really like growing a character's power, finding loot, slaying monsters. This isn't the game for me. It's not my vibe. What's an alternative? And PoE is that alternative, but it is currently leagues behind Diablo 4 in terms of graphics, which unfortunately does matter to a lot of people. They want the visuals to be shiny, popping, beautiful, right? And especially the midway points through PoE right now, you know, they aren't graphically pleasing. I think this is a key opportunity for GGG to actually boom, just like they did back in the days of Diablo 3 and when they actually launched their game. So I think you're right. Beta in October, launch in December, new wave of core supporter packs, new wave of PoE 2 specific supporter packs, and, you know, let's just go for triple. New wave of League supporter packs too. You know, 3 different tiers of supporter packs.
Yeah. All this, there's never enough supporter packs. You know. So.
No, really. I'm shocked at how many I've actually purchased over the years, man.
Yeah, and if Path of Exile 2 is good, you know, if people enjoy the beta, then they're gonna buy them. So.
Oh, 100%. Yep. I think it's pretty clear that they've found a winning model. 100%.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. Okay, so what's your third prediction or your second prediction?
Second prediction. Yeah. This one also is a little quick. I believe that they will remove movement skills in Path of Exile 2. Okay. But they will add in base movement gems with additional movement-specific supports, okay? So we'll have dash, blink, leap, charge, and roll, right? But because we have so many different 6 links, we'll be able to have this base gem, right? And add a bunch of movement-specific supports to it to craft our perfect movement skill. Have you ever wanted, you know, instead of Frost Blink, maybe Frost Dash? You can craft that now yourself. Have you ever wanted Lightning Warp, but with, Chaos damage or a Chaos Explosion instead of Lightning, right? You can make that now. That's my prediction, right? We're seeing rolls. We're seeing the default, no added movement gems in the game, but we'll be able to craft our own. And that's where some complexity is going to come in with PoE 2. We're going to be able to craft our own skills, essentially, right? We'll have the base, and then we'll be able to add all these additional supports to very simple concepts like roll. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I for a moment there, I was about to, there's going to be a bit of a riot for that. I was thinking, where's he going to go with this? Removing movement skills, like, surely not. But actually, I think the idea of being able to augment movement abilities in a way that makes them personalized to you is quite interesting, because I think movement skills in Path of Exile, they're a little bit problematic right now. You got like Leap Slam, for example, and Shield Charge, which are just leagues above everything else. They're just ridiculously good. You've got Flame Dash, which is pretty good, but if you have like attack speed, then Leap Slam is just far superior. And you've got like Dash, which is kind of bad. I think it was actually designed. I think it was designed for consoles. Actually, that's what I've heard. So. Yeah, I could see it. I could see them making it so that you could augment movement skills. That would actually make a lot of sense, and it would feed into the new gem socket system that we're going to have, which currently, I mean, you could have things that change the way movement abilities work at the moment, but that would have to be a complete design overhaul, because these skills are fixed with what they do.
Exactly.
So yeah, if they have a new system coming in PoE 2, why not? That sounds like a good idea. I like that.
Yeah, the most you can do now really is like second wind support or arcane surge support for certain movement skills. There's not faster attacks for Leap Slam. There's not a lot else you can do. If it's going to be one of your 6 links, you want to be able to accomplish a lot with it. So yeah, awesome stuff. What's your prediction number 3, Dreamcore?
All right, this one's a big one. So okay, I think they're going to add a new character gear slot in Path of Exile 2. But this one is a bit of a weird one, because I don't think it's going to be a gear slot which grants character stats specifically. So I think they've been testing this out a little bit in League content ever since the announcement of Path of Exile 2. You have to kind of look back and remember that all of these leagues have been since the announcement of Path of Exile 2. So you've got to remember that they've been working on that in the background. So for example, we had the Thieves Trinkets in Heist. That's like a little slot that comes up on your character sheet. And then there was the Trinkets, or the relics, in Sanctum. And there was also the Scourge device as well that you had on your character. Now, I think that, as I said, I don't think these are going to grant character stats like life or resistance, but instead they're going to feed into end-game progression, similar to Atlas passives. So I think these are going to be account-bound. Again, this might trigger some people. Trigger warning, account-bound items. And I think they're going to be very rare as well. And they're going to drop from endgame content, maybe from bosses, things like that. But Sanctified Relics in Sanctum were account-bound as well. I think, personally, I liked it like that. I know that some people didn't like that. But I think that it felt very personalized when you dropped a good relic. You had this relic. Nobody could take that away from you. You had this relic. And you found it. You got this relic, and now you can make a build around it or whatever, because they were quite impactful stats. But I think these stats are going to be unique stats tied to these things specifically, but they'll be similar to the Atlas passive tree. So imagine a stat, for example, beyond bosses in your maps are twinned, or progression towards the Eater of Worlds instead rewards progression towards the Searing Exarch. So for example, you could farm Eater of Worlds mobs whilst going for the Searing Exarch boss drops, right?
That's amazing.
So this is and I think this is something that they've been planning with these new gear slots from different league mechanics, because obviously the Heist Trinket had buffs for Heist specifically, and then we had the Sanctum, which had character buffs, but also they were playing around with trinkets in that league that you could place in the trinket locker, with the different changes to Sanctum. So that's what I think they're going to do. I think they're going to do a new gear slot, but it's not going to be for character power. It's going to be more for your end game progression.
That's an awesome prediction. I think that'd be amazing. I'm all for funky interactions, and just you saying, beyond bosses are twinned in your maps, and then that whole concept of being able to farm altars for one, pinnacle boss, but fight the other, that's functionality and customizability that I think GGG will 100% pursue. And players will absolutely love. And yeah, you're right. That is a big ticket feature that they could add in PoE 2, a brand new gear slot. I think, I'm a fan.
Yeah, I'd love
Listen to this man, GGG.
Yeah, that's it. New gear slot. I think it's going to happen.
Awesome. All right, then I will close us out with my final Path of Exile 2 prediction. And we've been very mechanically focused today. This is a lore prediction, everybody. And I know people who have watched my channel before might know that I think we are going to try to outdo Diablo 4, Diablo 3, Diablo 2, and we are going to go to Rayclast's version of Hell, which is Beyond. For a while now, we've been fighting these Beyond demons. In Scourge, we saw them. Then in Sanctum, Lycia was summoning them. We hear a lot about Badat, the Archangel of Death. I think that this Seed of Corruption storyline is bringing us not, to a whole new continent or something in Rayclast when it comes to Act 6, Act 7 in the new campaign. I think for Act 7, we're actually going to descend into Beyond. We saw a glimpse of it with Lycia's second phase fight. I think we're going to see an entire act in Beyond, this other world place, right? And it's going to be Path of Exile's version of Hell in Diablo. And honestly, if you haven't played the new Diablo game, you're barely in Hell, which is the most iconic piece of that game in my view. And then the endgame systems, there's exactly one time you go back into Hell, and it's for the Pinnacle boss, right? I think GGG will reuse this content. They will capitalize on it. We're going to see Hell or Beyond maps. We're going to see all these new crazy, wacky creatures that are perfectly Path of Exile. I mean, the Scourge demons, their design, bloody phenomenal. They're creepy, they're haunting, terrifying, and I love their mechanics, honestly. I think that's what we're going to see in PoE 2. That's going to be the conclusion of the story. We're going to go to Beyond, kill the Seed of Corruption or something like that, and then come back to Rayclast. And with a little bit of exposure to an outside world, we're going to somehow find the map device again and begin traveling to all these other wild worlds. So, yeah, that's my final prediction. What do you think, Dreamcore?
Yeah, I don't have too much to say because I'm not a lore guy, really, but honestly, we've had a lot of hints towards Beyond, right, in the League content that we've had since the announcement of Path of Exile 2. We had Scourge League, and I think, like you said, the Scourge demons are great, and I really like the idea of having Beyond maps, because that's basically just... We're going to have Scourge, basically. We had the Scourge reality where you could just transform in and out of Scourge. Well, what about just an entire Beyond map that's just filled with Scourge demons?
Exactly.
And perhaps it even takes on that whole interaction of what Scourge had, where you had this multiplier of more damage coming in, but you had you had more and more loot. Perhaps we could see that. But yeah, we had the hints of Beyond.
Yeah, and it would be shocking for the terrain that they added for Scourge League, that whole encasement, to only be used in, I believe it's a Nico memory right now, and then a hideout decoration where you can turn your map or your hideout into a Scourge map.
Yeah, I love like the Beyond aesthetic. I think it just looks. Path of Exile in general has really cool stuff. So
wait, Dreamcore, you don't like the old Beyond demons though? The reskinned bandits.
Oh, the bandits.
You don't like those?
Yeah, they were okay. To be fair, the old Beyond bosses, even though they looked kind of bad, they were pretty cool. These
they were insane.
Gigantic explosions of all kinds of. You had no idea what was going on, especially if you're a new player and you've seen this thing for the first time, and it's just like,
I didn't know. I six portaled when I first encountered it was a Baxoth.
Yeah,
there was no chance. I didn't know what was going on. I had to Google it after, and I didn't remember the mob's name. I was just like Googling mob that explodes, teleports, and creates lightning on character, Path of Exile. And I eventually found it was a Baxoth, the end of all that is. So, yeah. Well, Dreamcore, I think that was a good set of predictions. I hope that everybody else agrees, and I do hope that ExileCon lives up to the hype. I'm pretty confident in GGG to stick the landing. Do you think so?
Yeah, I think so as well. Yeah, I think they've got this one in the bag. I think it's going to be a really successful ExileCon. I remember there's like a little segment after the first ExileCon where Chris was saying how they really want to do ExileCon again. Obviously, this was pre-pandemic, so that all that happened. But remember, he was saying that he did want to do ExileCon again, and they're not sure if they could one-up it. They're not sure if they could really make this whole thing be better than it already is. But I don't know. They've been a little bit quiet on the front for the leagues, as we were saying. That they've had a bit thin on the ground content. So I think they've been waiting for this moment, and they've been very quiet. We had the few little trailers for the games conventions that came out. That's all we've had. We've had nothing else. So yeah, I think they're preparing something big.
Yeah. There has been a curious silence about Path of Exile 2, and I'm looking forward to them breaking that silence at ExileCon 2023. Dreamcore, man, it has been a phenomenal time for me here early in the morning. I hope we can do this again, maybe about 3.22, maybe about what they announced at PoE 2. Hope you had a good one too.
Yeah, thanks for having me on, dude. Yeah, let's definitely do it again. More collaborations. It's
100%. And if you guys want to see the 3.22 predictions, head on over to Dreamcore's channel for not only that, but a slew of in-depth content about keystones, crazy items, and right now, possible Ascendancy reworks in 3.22 and beyond. Thanks so much, man.
Thanks for having me.
All right. See you later.